Trump presidency. What are we, like 24 days out or so until the inauguration? We've seen all the incredible moves to keep Trump from getting in. That tells you the globalists do not like what they're seeing. I'm not saying Trump's perfect. Nobody is. But certainly this is real fear, real concern. They have thrown the kitchen sink at the American people, at the people of the UK and many others, trying to keep globalism in place. And it's not working. So this is major, major cause for celebration. And I've not celebrated enough. Last week, whenever they tried to overthrow the electors and intimidate everybody in the death threats, it backfired. Hillary lost more electors from the Electoral College. What was it, last Monday on the 19th of December than Trump did. A major rebuff, a rejection of the entire power of the corporate establishment sewage stream media in their dirty little faces. So certainly an exciting situation. Now, as we speak on this Friday, if all has gone well, I'm going to be listening to the broadcast with you, because if you go into the time-space continuum, I am recording this on Wednesday evening as an intro to a very special retransmission. Now, when I'm on the holidays, Christmas, time off with the family, I should be Friday hunting with my son, spending some really special time with him. I'll be listening in the deer stand. I haven't really got enough to do that. Haven't done as much hunting as I'd like to this year. Done some bird hunting, a little bit of deer hunting. So I'll be spending some time around the campfire probably with my son after getting off the deer stand this Friday as we all together listen to Jordan Maxwell. We had a very powerful, very informative interview with him last week. He's going to be retransmitted. Then we've got Gerald Celente, very powerful interview, Roger Stone and Matt Bracken, and then Jesse James. And that's something that aired the night before the election on November 7th. Jesse James doesn't do a lot of interviews. He's turning on a lot of big, obviously TV shows. He's been demonized by the media, and people really don't know who Jesse James is. I've known Jesse for about 5 years now, or 6 years. Got to be pretty good friends with him, mainly because I lived out in the country, and about a year after I moved out in the country, he moved in next door. So my daughter is the same age as one of his daughters, and so we got to know each other that way. And he predicted Trump would win with certainty on that night before broadcast. And it was a pretty cool interview. It was about an hour-and-a-half live interview. We've edited it down to 45 minutes to fit into the hour. So that's coming up in the fourth hour today. And then the Sunday rebroadcast is going to be the Sunday after the election, a few days after, when I made my predictions about what was going to happen, how they'd try to stop Trump and more. A lot of it obviously has come true, unfortunately, but they have failed. And then on Monday, we got a big rebroadcast coming up with Max Kaiser, where he was in one day, and then in the next day with Adam Curry, then Anthony Cumia and Gavin McInnes. That is on Monday. Obviously, if big events take place over the weekend, because so much is happening, I'll be on the air whether it's Christmas Day or not. And I'll be doing live transmissions as well on Facebook mentions and on YouTube. It'll be posted once I've gone live, archived at Infowars.com. So if something big happens, come hell or high water, if the good Lord is shining on us, I will be on air responding over this holiday weekend, because the globalist model is try to sneak stuff through over holidays and over holiday weekends. Look for big pardons to be signed. Look for more bizarre executive orders to be rammed through as Obama tries to cement his deep sexing of our republic, his attempt to bankrupt the free market system, because the globalists have to compete with that. So all this and more coming up on this Friday, this Sunday, and this Monday, and then I'll be back, Lord willing, the Tuesday after. That'll be the 27th. All right, we're going to go to break and come back with this mighty retransmission. I want to thank you, the listeners, everybody else, and thank the great crew, and wish you a great Christmas and holiday coming up this weekend. Now, Jordan Maxwell, a real treat, is going to join us via video Skype. If you're a radio listener, you can always go to Infowars.com/show and find the free video feeds, the free podcast, the Android and iPhone apps, and more. Until, I guess, they kick us off those platforms like they've done Breitbart. They are now openly in Politico and in the New York Times and every other publication, basically, calling for us to be silenced. They've appointed a mail-order diploma company with 6 employees in Florida, and the Snopes couple that has a big fat cat. So I'm serious. So that means they will decide what you can visit online via Google or Facebook. It's all being announced. So it's an incredible time. They've even taken Ted Koppel out of deep freeze, out of his cryogenic toupee, and had him come out and attack me. Ted Koppel, Alex Jones spreading the manure that fertilizes conspiracy theories all over the internet. And I love it. I grew up watching Ted Koppel on Nightline like he was the biggest genius in the world. But I got to be honest. Ted Koppel did not air fake edited audio tapes of me saying Hillary cuts up children and rapes them under a pizzeria. I was talking about her literally funding the jihadis to kill people in Syria. And then they know in the 1 minute, 18-second clip, I say that, they edit it together. This is criminal. My lawyers, not just civil, when you're lying about somebody like that to get them hurt, there can be criminal penalties. But again, I should be very, very proud of this because it means we're having a big effect. I'm on the opposite of a power trip. If I'm bouncing off the walls, as their energy level against us intensifies, God just gives me more energy. That's the way the universe works. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. To have the communist Chinese, that's who our top people believe it's pointed towards. It's a state sponsor. Because if it's the U.S. doing it, it's totally illegal. And the Chinese have taken credit for these exact type of attacks in October. And I showed that PC World article, and it appears to be their handiwork. But they don't want to say that, obviously. But China takes credit for a lot of this stuff, so we'll see if they do in the next few weeks. It's the second biggest they've ever seen. The FBI is obviously involved. And I don't mean just the FBI is like very interested because this is unprecedented. Close to a terabyte a second. Doesn't mean our servers have been penetrated. This is not a hack in that sense. It's denial of service using your hijacked computers and hijacked other computer systems. So that's why we're extending free shipping this entire week. It was going to end today. 50% off colloidal silver and up to 30% off on everything else until everything sells out. It's the end of year. But again, we go into the black generally in the middle of December. It's that last week where you get 5-6 times the orders you normally do in a day that allows us to have extra money in the new year to hire new people or to expand. They have hit us. It's over now $100,000 in loss in 4 days since this began, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, because the sites are up and down. It's very sustained. And again, these attacks are so huge that they can virtually turn on 10,000 servers. And yesterday they went, look, we got over 1,000 servers in big cloud systems. Nothing's ever beaten this. There's no reason to go bigger. They said, if it beats this, it's the biggest ever. Today it went down again. And they're like, okay, we'll go 1,000. So it's a major government sponsor. And these guys are very private. I mean, some of these guys are like presidents and things and vice presidents at major companies. I mean, we're talking people that do Time Warner security nationwide, the people that do, you name it. I mean, there's only 3 of these companies. And we have confidentiality agreements with them, obviously. I mean, they've turned stuff on for us nobody even knows about. That's why I shouldn't get into any of this. But let's just say they've turned stuff on for this that other people don't even get access to. Because here's the deal. They don't want to get beat. If they let the Chinese beat this, everybody's vulnerable. So we're now the test case. I mean, folks have got their s'mores out. They've got their marshmallows out. This is a big party right now. Guys have been up 48 hours, you name it. The big brains are being brought in. And this is all war gamed. This is what this is. This is the biggest attack since October, which was the biggest ever. And it's not pointed at anybody but us. I mean, just in the tech world, because of this, we're going to get all the top hackers tuning in now. I mean, this is like celebrity level stuff. I'm so happy. I'm being congratulated by all the top people right now. I mean, this is a great honor. They said these attacks are 50 times what Trump was under, and he has a similar system as the same group we have, by the way. Not supposed to know that, but it's true. So they're definitely logarithmically upping things. So we're going to break that down. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com. In their face, let's let them know that we're going to get that capital back. We're going to expand to the new year. I want to thank you all for your support. You can also call toll-free 888-253-3139. We only got 5 or 6 people answering the phones here. At 9, it rolls over to an answering service that can take even more orders of operators after 5 o'clock Central. But if it does roll over, it'll go over to that group during the day. But even if they're busy, leave your name and number. We'll call you back within the hour. I want to thank you for your support. 888-253-3139 or Infowars. infowars.com/newsletter to sign up for our free newsletter so we can send you articles and videos. Even if they shut the sites down, I can directly communicate with you. You can also write to us and buy the products or make a donation. Because here's the deal. It's hard to crack this nut here. Biggest problem getting this news out is having the platform. We're doing it. We're beating them now. Even though they stacked the deck against us, 85 million viewers and listeners the week of the election. 40 million's our new low, 41 million. They're freaked out. They now admit it. I've got stacks of news here admitting, okay, Alex is bigger than the New York Times. What do we do? Do we shut him down? Do we sue him? Do we arrest him? Do we pull his sponsors? Well, he self-funds. Well, you call in the Chinese communist. P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas, 78760. P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas, 78760. Now, joining us is a man I want to invite back anytime he wants in the new year for 2 hours. He's a hard guy to get on, Jordan Maxwell, and he's been through a lot of hacking himself and a lot of persecution. We're not going to get into that today, but believe me, when you're over the target, it certainly happens. And I just had his bio here in front of me. He's a best-selling author, researcher, JordanMaxwellShow.com. He's doing his own show now, which is great, getting into hidden meanings, the Illuminati, the master plan. And today, he wants to get into why Democrats are so angry, why there's a bigger movement going on around the world, how they manipulate words. I want to ask him, too, because he's a big linguist. It's how they define things. Hillary says you are now the alt-right. Even liberals that oppose her are now the alt-right. How they say we're fake news when they're the admitted fake news. And how we just accept how they define reality. But we're now approaching this point where that isn't happening. And I mean, here's an example of what Jordan does. We're called human resources since the 60s, not humans. You go research it. Under eugenics and bioethics, human resources can be killed. And it's in the U.S. code. So I'm going to skip this break to give him more time. Jordan Maxwell of JordanMaxwellShow.com joining us as we get ready to finish up 2016. He's been predicting the incredible turmoil that's coming, what's happening, but also the awakening to counter that, which the Illuminati will try to take over. But it's always a race. Well, the Bible says, get behind me, Satan. The devil's always, or that system that calls itself the devil, always trying to counterfeit what the human mind develops. That's why we've always got to be trailblazing to get ahead of it. That's my view. But till the bottom of the hour, you've got the floor. Before I even interrupt her, I will. Jordan, get rolling here. With where we are in history. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Alex, for allowing me to be on. Boy, there are so many things I want to talk about because everything you said is exactly correct. I mean, we're under attack as Americans. This whole country is under attack. And the reason why is very simple. If you don't take down the biggest guy on the block, then you don't have anything yet. And so this new world order, most of the people around the world have no idea what's going on, so they're very easy to knock over. But America has always been on the forefront of intellectual and education and knowledge and technology. So unless you can destroy this base of resistance to tyranny, then you haven't done anything. That's why they are continuing to attack America, because America is the only country left that offers freedom and liberty and justice for all and all of that kind of ideas and thinking. That came out of the Renaissance. And so, yeah, you're right that we are under attack. The point I wanted to make about well, let me first say that this whole thing about the Democratic people falling out of the chairs because of the election. First of all, you need to understand that all communist countries officially are referred to as democratic republics, like the North Korean Democratic Republic of North Korea, the Democratic Republic of Cuba, the Democratic Republic of China. It's always a democratic republic.
Of the Congo.
Of the Congo, exactly. It's all around the world. Any communist country is always a democratic.
They counterfeited our original republic system, but it's a total joke.
Exactly. And this is why in the book, Fire in the Minds of Men, James Billington, who is today the chief librarian for the Library of Congress, this is no slouch, chief librarian for the Library of Congress, wrote a book called Fire in the Minds of Men, in which he explained this whole idea of calling things democratic. And it came out of the old 1840s with the communist revolution, in 1848, the communist movement, etc. So we need to understand that when you use the word democratic today, it does not mean the people's democratic thinking and from the Grecian Empire. We're talking about corporate democracy, which is actually today called communism.
Sure. So
And so
we're not talking about a constitutional republic like ours, the first and pretty much
no,
only.
not at all.
We're talking
Not
about
at
a
all.
democratic republic, which means a Politburo, a
Exactly.
secretariat, a totally staged event.
Precisely. And that's exactly why today the communist movement throughout the world is absolutely elated when Obama was made president, because they finally got a full-blown Marxist-Leninist Soviet communist, old school Soviet communist regime in America. Now, and it said, even the communist publication said, boy, now it's time to really destroy this country big time. Well, that's what happened. And so you've seen, because I've sent you some pictures of the advertisement for Hillary Clinton talking and using communist terms and symbols. And
Oh, they even use the classic communist paintings where it shows her face and other faces. I mean, it's the exact same iconography.
Absolutely. So you need to understand that democracy today in America is not a people's democracy where people matter. It's a corporate democracy under world communism. So that's so much for the Communist Party and the Democratic Party in America. But you need to also, in relation to words, if you were, and I'm going to give you an example. If you have a two-story building and you're going to put a lot of weight on the second floor, the first thing you need to do is go downstairs, get on a ladder with a building inspector, and look at the foundation of the floor that you're going to build on to see if it's going to hold that kind of weight. And so what you're doing is you're standing under the foundation that you're going to build on. This is where we get our word understanding, because you're understanding or standing under what you're hearing, the
But we never learn
foundation.
the basics of things, so we don't recognize classical tyranny when it's in our face.
Exactly. And it's incredible because that's the way we've been taught. We've been taught what to think, not how to think. So, and if you have a large package, for instance, if you have a large package and you want to ship it, you go out in the garage, you get some rope and you tie up the package, and that's good enough. But if you're going to take that same rope and tie it off on the end of a 10-story building and hang on it, then you better check the integrity of that rope before you go hanging yourself on it. And so that's what I'm saying.
And
That
what
we
is the
need to
integrity
do.
of what we've seen? Zero. And I want you to get into definitions, which you're the master of, to get people thinking. But just getting into your first point, what do you make of this whole election? Because, I mean, I want to ask you, why do you think I've been allowed to operate? And then now the attacks are getting exponentially more intense. There is clearly a global awakening happening. They're trying to hijack it. But if you look at Brexit, if you look at Italy starting to pull out, Spain starting to break up, Reykjavik, Iceland, what's happening in Brazil, there is a global awakening to all of this. As world governments announced, they never thought that people would listen to you and I, but they did. They did listen to Ron Paul and countless others. But I mean, I know you're a truist. I mean, you'll just tell us what you really think. Not an optimist, not a pessimist. But Jordan Maxwell, you talk about why are the Democrats so angry? I think it's because they now, even at the mid-level, have been let in on the fact this is a great work, a great takeover, and they fundamentally see it worldwide being destroyed right now.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. You know, and they are involved. This democratic so-called thing is involved in Hollywood. It's involved in all of our institutions because we've allowed it to happen. I mean, we remember talking, many years ago about the Marxist professors in universities, but nobody really knew much about what Marxism was.
It
So
just hit me.
who
It hit
cares?
me. It's always so thought-provoking when you come on.
Say it again.
It's so thought-provoking. Of course, all the communists call their countries democratic. That's a
Yeah.
word cooked up by the Democratic Party, which were the Jacobin side of the whole Illuminati. And it's all right there in history, but no one knows. So break it down. Sorry.
That's exactly right. Let me give you an example of how Hollywood is involved in this. You know, the Emmys that we see on television, which is incredible. operation today in America and around the world, television. But the Emmys are presented to the world by the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. The first letter in that title is National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, which is NATAS, which is spelled backwards Satan. And when you begin to look at how Hollywood was founded, uh, back in the ancient times, and I've told you this, I think, before, but in ancient times in Europe, there was a civilization in ancient Europe even before the Roman Empire, and it was called Druids. And this is what we're dealing with today in America and around the world, Druidism. And among the Druids, pre-Roman Empire, they're still here today running the world, but among the Druids, there was a magic symbol that was very important to Druidism in Europe, and it was a magic wand. And it was like Merlin the magician with the magic wand, Mickey Mouse with a magic wand. Also, the orchestra conductors use a magic wand to play the music. So magic wands were always made out of the wood of a holly tree. It's made out of Hollywood. And once you understand the symbolism, the words and the terms and how words are used, it's all magic. It's all a very high form of druidic, professionally done magic.
And that's right. They call it lesser magic to hide the name of it, Satan, right in front of you. You don't see it. When they see it, it takes them up above you. They believe prophetically, so they have a right to rule you.
Precisely. And that's what I've been saying since 1959 and 60.
By the way, that's in standard, I mean, not the stuff they sell in stores, but real 500-year-old black magic books that, come out of Babylon and Israel. It's all right there. That's what they do.
That's exactly right. This is a very ancient science. That's why today the study of politics is called political science. It's an actual science. And so it's based on the ancient magic, ancient mystical
And the
symbols.
low-level stuff is all trash and garbage and false science to control even the upper-level minions. What percentage would you say, because we're kind of reverse engineering this here, what percentage of the actual controllers would you say are full-on what they would call alchemists, wizards, sorcerers?
Myself, I would say 100%, because I see it everywhere. I see it in newspapers, television, magazines.
So you think a large, well, that's what I think 20 years ago was a lower number. So they're actually now moving to the level of actually educating most of their people on what they're doing?
Yes, it's massive worldwide, and that's why people have no idea in the world how big this thing is. And I've been talking about it for many years and trying to get people to listen. There's a very big war, and I mean, you said it best. It's a war for the minds. And when you begin to understand how words are used to manipulate us, incidentally, when you hear people talking about racism, look up the word race in a dictionary. It's the race is a bloodline of animals. The particular kinds of animals are called the dog race, the animal race.
They're getting us to call ourselves animals in the labeling.
Absolutely. So that's why today in the British and American Styles magazine, you will find that the Styles magazine is put out by the government, which has the words that government uses. So if you need to, if you're going to use a word in government, you go to the Styles magazine and see the correct word to use that's being used by the government. Well, if you look up in the Styles magazine, male and female is a word or words that are given to animals. An animal is either a male or female. A man or a woman is masculine and feminine, not male and female. So therefore, people don't know that. They don't mind calling themselves male or female and having no idea that that means in government terms and in courts, that means you're an animal. And so you need
and that goes back again to the fact that we use chattel terms or of bond slaves that goes back to the Middle East and before, where we're taking all of that basically that was expanded into what Roman common law.
That's exactly right. Let me give you another example of how we're being tricked. Suppose you were a painting contractor and I call you to paint my office. All right, you come over and check it out, and then you give me an estimate of $100. Now, after you do the job, you come to me the way it is done in commerce. You give me a bill for $100. Okay. I then reach in my pocket and I handed you a $100 bill, and now you're happy because I paid you. No, I did not pay you. I did not pay you. You gave me a bill for $100. I gave you a $100 bill. So now you owe me. Look at what's on the face of it. It's a bank note, and you owe me $100. So I didn't pay you.
And that's how they get you out of the regular constitutional money into the whole Federal Reserve System, because it's all their money and it's all debt-based. That's why the debt always has to go up. Now let's talk about the election.
No doubt about it.
Let's talk about why the Democrats are so mad. I want the truth. You know, I respect you. Your view on Trump, where this is all going, how it's going to unfold. Jordan Maxwell's our guest, a very interesting and informative gentleman. I'm Alex Jones. Infowars.com. We're under mega attack right now, folks. There's to Hillary saying that states ought to honor the popular vote. That would steal the vote of tens of millions. And if you cut out the 3+ million votes in California, if you just cut California out, well, then obviously Trump would have won. And then there's all the fraud against Trump. Now, again, I don't think Trump's perfect, but here's the deal. In my view, it's not reverse psychology that the communist Chinese and the Pope, who is so incredibly wicked. I'm not against Catholics, folks, but that Pope, I mean, give me a break. He's just out in the open one, Matt Maxwell, about that. And the Saudi Arabians, who are pure evil, that is their royal government, and all the rest of it saying we can't have Trump, and they're freaking out. I believe it's because he wants the old prosperity model of Americana, of Renaissance. We have unfair deals. It's been designed to bring America down. That's well known. That's admitted in the major treaties like Agenda 21 that was never ratified in 92, but we're still under it. So I don't think Trump's perfect, but he's a service guy. He makes money off services. He likes seeing prosperity. And when he sees prosperity being lost, it makes him angry. He doesn't like being cheated either. He's never really been part of the elite, as much I know. Now, he's appointed some, globalists or whatever, but that's who knows where the bodies are buried to get things done. I care about delivering. $50 billion in Japanese investment day one. He's got us realigned with Japan and Russia now against China. He's really following some really smart people I know in the Pentagon. This is a real attempt at wresting control of the Republic before America's Deep Six, because globalism was sold in the 40s and 50s to end any future world wars, just like World War I was used to get the League of Nations, but it failed. And a lot of good people signed on to it. We're going to send industry to the third world. We're going to give some of our wealth to them and build them up. It's going to end war. But it was all a cheating deal in globalism. Even the Economist admits this, to actually impoverish everybody but the elite and to pick the winners and losers. So a lot of former globalists who meant well are now turning against the New World Order, because folks were out there like Jordan Maxwell and many others exposing what was really happening. They weren't all evil. A lot of them really meant well. I've had professors and others come to me, well-known folks, and go, I thought you were wrong trying to take down this great thing we were doing for global peace. It's for the greater good. But I do see, before they said some bad things would have to happen for the greater good, but I see it's not really true. It's all about total control. You're right. What do we do? Well, now that's a bigger kettle of fish. Now we'll see if Maxwell agrees with me on that statement. And then I want to walk through what's currently happening and who he sees to be the different power groups and structures here. Because clearly Trump knows how it all works. But in the words of Dr. Corsi, that's known him for 40 years, he's been basically biding his time, and things are a two-way street. And he's basically snuck up on them now, and that's why they're so scared. Is that true? Or is he just coming in and taking the New World Order away from them for himself? Jordan Maxwell, tell me what you really think.
Well, I like you. I kind of like Trump just as a person, as a man. I like his method, and I like his presentation to the world. But what's really important here is the word peace, because the communists have always used the word peace. What they're talking about, if you look in their journals and read their books and read the Marxist-Leninist philosophy, peace to them means a cessation of againstness, meaning the stopping of being against something. So when you stop being against something, then we have peace. That's what it means to them. It doesn't mean peace for the world.
It means submission.
It means submission. So when you're being raped, if you're fighting, if you got a gun, that's dangerous. If someone's going to be raped and they're carrying a gun, that could be dangerous. Or if they're fighting you and yelling and screaming, then they're fighting the raping. But if you give up, then that's peace because nobody's going to fight anymore. So that's what Marxist-Leninism in their very publications say. That's what peace means, to give up and accept Marxist-Leninist communism and the concentration camps and the whole thing.
That's like when Emperor Palpatine is wiping out and killing everybody in episode 3, he says, we're bringing peace.
That's true. Because if you kill all of the people who want to be free, then you're going to have peace. Everybody else is just thrown into prisons and thrown into concentration camps.
And notice that's what the Orthodox system of Islam is. It means you will submit. But the truth is, though, once you submit, the torture, the killing, the enslavement only intensifies because the real religion that George Orwell exposed, whether it be Islam, whether it be communism, fascism, is a boot stomping on the human face. That's the priest of power and sadism, the Jacobins, 9-day work weeks, the world turned upside down, no technology but in the hands of the elite. I mean, let's break down the false Illuminati's religion. Again, I'm not saying the Illuminati's good or bad. The one we know about in Germany and France, the counterfeit of what our forebears tried, not saying they were perfect either, but the Great Enlightenment, Francis Bacon, all of that. There wasn't a constituted Illuminati, but it means bring light to the world. The truth is they claim they're illuminated, but they're saying only they're illuminated because they bring dark to us, correct?
Correct. Absolutely. You have to understand the words that are being used and go back to their reference work to see what those words mean. Remember that quote I gave to you before. It says, when freedom, no man is safe when freedom fails. The best men rot in filthy jails, while those who cried, appease, appease, are hung by those they tried to please. This has been the case in every communist country, and the communist overthrow of every country is that, Mao Zedong did it, and it's a classic example. Mao Zedong had people put to death because they were voicing their disrespect for communism and for the People's Democratic Republic of China. Millions of people were put to death by Mao Zedong.
The Chinese estimate 84 million and say it was a mistake. They kind of locked his wife up after he died. Our CIA obviously declassified in 2004 that they actually put him in power. Why did they kill the people that submitted? Why did the Khmer Rouge do that as well? Why kill like Hitler killed the brown shirts that took him to power?
Yeah, well, because they know that the people who are falling in with them are so stupid that you can't trust them. So if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So therefore, the idea is that the people who willingly go along with you tells the dictator that these people are so stupid, they don't even know what I'm doing. And that's incredible. They're so stupid. So
that's right. And then a lot of times these Illuminati people actually take those that were their opposition and try under duress to make them join them. They actually respect us.
Exactly. I have had military people say that to me in person. They have, and I don't want to hurt, and I don't want to cause harm to anyone in the military, but there's the people in the military have come to me and saying, Jordan, we respect what you're doing. We don't like what's going on either. We don't, we know what's going on.
Oh yeah, the military. Well, why do you think the military, in my experience, is the most awake group?
It's because they're on the front lines. They're the ones that have to go out and put their life in danger, and then hear the president, being a great peacemaker and given the Nobel Peace Prize. And then you come to find out, no, we got like 35 different wars going on for this man who is supposedly a peacemaker. And so the military knows they've been had. And if you don't know that, all the military has to do is read Kiss the Boys Goodbye by Henry Kissinger, the book called Kiss the Boys Goodbye.
He calls them dumb animals.
Dumb animals just to be used for political purposes. They're all a bunch of animals. That's what Henry Kissinger said. And of course, George Bush's mother, Barbara Bush, she said, if you'll recall, that when they talked about the people being, about our servicemen being killed.
She said, quote, on CNN, we've got the clip somewhere. She said, quote, steal your thunders to prove it's a real quote, folks. You can look this up. She said, I don't think anything of their deaths. I don't let that into my beautiful mind. That's
exactly right. She said, why bother me with such nonsense? I don't care about how many people are dead. That's, the president's mother, and that's Henry Kissinger. These are the people who are in power.
Think of the arrogance, because she went on to say, you quoted her exactly, she goes, why would I bother and let that into my beautiful mind?
That's exactly right.
She sends people to die, and then she talks about a beautiful mind. It just shows the total disconnect. Like, they get jumbo jets, you know, but then Hillary tells poor people, and Obama says you can't even have a car.
That's right. I just think it's incredible that, you know, if you don't pay your taxes, the IRS will will send, even if you go to the Amazon jungles, the IRS will find you and bring you back and make an example out of you because you're not going to escape. However, with that kind of power and that kind of technology, they can't stop the drug wars going on in Pacoima in California because they don't want to. That's the thing.
Let me stop you, George, because I want to raise questions a lot of folks don't ask you when you're on. And if you'll please come back, I want to do a 2-hour special that we tape next week that we then dole out over the show because it's so important. You were talking about government drug dealing 40 years ago. They were having congressional hearings about it 40 years ago, then 20 years ago about cocaine. It's admitted now. They have movies like Sicario that's basically based on a true story. They called it fiction so they wouldn't get sued. That's actually a true story, like word for word, of something that really happened in South Texas. And they admit, yeah, we want it controlled down to 2 cartels from 10. We control the drug trade. Well, that's a fact. Brzezinski's written books admitting that. In fact, the government even runs the key elements of it, the white slavery trade. And Brzezinski wrote about that in Technotronic era back in the 70s. So their argument is we control it by running it. But no, they actually make it bigger. So what's the paradox now that so much of world government and government narcotics trafficking and everything else is now out in the open? What moment have we reached then?
I think we've finally reached a point in our evolution of the human family for thousands of years. We've come to the point now where we're finally at the very end of a critical period in the total evolution of the human race from over thousands of years. Because for the first time, we now have the technology to rip off and rape and destroy human minds, to manipulate nations upon nations. It's an extraordinary war going on between massive tyranny and the protection of individual humans for freedom and liberty and justice. And I'm telling you that the future is not going to be pretty. If you go back and look at what happened in the Second World War, if you look at what happened in Vietnam, all of this is heading towards something that the world will not be able to come back from. If we lose freedom, freedom is if it's lost, it's gone forever as far as I'm concerned. This is the last and final battle on the earth for human dignity and freedom. And the people, like I said, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And if people don't now stand up and understand what's going on, we're going to lose the human race.
Sure.
We're not just going to lose America. We're not just going to lose human freedom.
Right. The globalists now admit, all the top technocracy people from Kurzweil to you name it, say we're going to end humanity. They've been told by their spirit guides, and they run Google, we've got to end humanity, be given the big prize. And then, of course, we know that the top illuminist, Arthur C. Clarke, who took the reins of the Fabian socialists, told people in speeches, no, my films, my books are allegories of what's going to happen. But he made the joke, it's more like childhood's end. We have to consciously give our consciousness up to this devil, and then he promises to, like, upload us to a computer. I don't want to do that.
No, but that's precisely what's going on. And that's why I've said, and I talked to you before, this is a worldwide movement. I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
No, you're not. So let me ask you selfish questions here, because I want to get stuff you never get into. I was approached as a teenager by high-level Illuminati, and people can now see, look where we are today, and this is real. They could somehow, through inner space, whatever, tell that I had to be targeted or recruited. It failed. Talk about stuff out of a movie, folks. My whole life's been like a movie, at least since about age 10. And weird stuff before that. I know, reading some other writings, talking to some other folks, you haven't really written about this, talked about this, but I know you weren't a bad guy, but you investigated some of these top societies and groups and were actually given interest into some of the real ones that most folks aren't. I can tell by the stuff you talk about, because obviously I've been told things most people haven't been told. Can you tell us how deep you got into this?
Oh, yes, very, very deep. And it's cost me everything. It's just cost me my life. It's cost me my marriage. It's cost me it has really taken a toll on me. And the reason why is because there's an old saying, you get what you pay for. If you want a little knowledge, then you pay a little bit. If you want a little bit more knowledge, okay, so you pay a little more. If you want to go to college, well, then you have to pay a lot. But if you want the real story, you're going to pay with your life. If you want the real, actual story about what's going on, if you want to learn a little bit about the underworld and the organized crime, then you can read a couple of books and you'll have a little bit of on. But if you want to know more about the organized crime,
you got to go into it.
Now you got to go into it a little bit, just a little bit. And then if you really want to know, then join. But once you join, the only way you leave is in a box. And so once you have entered into this kind of knowledge of redesigning human beings, of redesigning the whole world, once you actually commit yourself to this kind of research, you're going to pay, and you're going to pay dearly.
And let's be clear, you get to a certain point, even though I've always refused to join them or take their money, you learn the knowledge on your own. You're like one of them, even though you didn't want to. It's the knowledge of evil. You can't, it's like, and then when you say you pay with your life, it's not like they're even doing something to you. You're now in it with them, even though you don't want to be. And you see them feeding on the public. You don't want to. The public's coming after you. And it's just, it's incredible.
That is precisely what I'm saying. That's exactly the feeling I feel continually. That's why I have such an empathy for you, because I know I have spent my life since 1959 and 60. I was talking about secret societies. That's 56 years ago.
You're probably the original trailblazer of exposing the modern Illuminati occult.
Well, I've been doing it for almost 60 years now, and you've got to know.
Were you around before Hilder, or you guys were contemporaries?
No, I was out before.
Before
Hilder, and Hilder came into my life in 1966 when he put out the Illuminati records. I was already in 1962, 63. Even the day John Kennedy was assassinated, I was going down to East Los Angeles to give a lecture on secret societies and world government when I heard on the radio that John Kennedy had been assassinated.
Hilder's a character, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, he's done a lot. As a matter of fact, there's more to Anthony Hill than it meets the eye. He has been involved in big motion picture industry. He's very
I know. You don't have to tell me.
Very intelligent boy. He's a very intelligent guy. And he put out the Illuminati records, of which I got back in 1966.
You think Hilder's ever been with an advanced agency?
I have my own opinions, but that's just my opinion. So
yeah, that guy's incredible. We got to get Hilder back on.
But he is. I've known Anthony for 40 years now, and he's in a remarkable.
He's a piece of work, what he is. All right, really so are you. Yeah, brilliant, both of you. Jordan Maxwell's our guest. We'll give you his website. You need to visit it today. JordanMaxwellShow.com. A treasure of info. We'll be back. Stay with us. This is amazing. I like him on Skype too. It's like he's in the room with us. All right, we've got Jordan Maxwell with us 5 minutes the next hour. Then David Knight's taking over with all the latest news, the attempt to overthrow the Electoral College, all the craziness, world government being announced. Here's the deal. They're trying to censor the internet. A lot of people just take it for granted. They're announcing the filters, the systems to be put in place where we would have lost the last election. The EU's announcing it's going to put an army in people's countries that try to pull out. I mean, we're going to World War II level crap now. But it's all done by the media like it's no big deal. And then my listeners are like, the Chinese really? Then I pull the articles and people go, wow, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, they're lecturing us? Yes, they're doing things they've never done before to train us to be slaves. We're under massive hack attack. InfoWarsStore.com is back up. Again, it's a denial of service attack. The store is fine, totally secure to buy from. They try to block it with traffic to shut it down. It's back up. Free shipping. I'm extending it through the week. We've got the Christmas special. It's 20% off on our 3 best sellers. We've got a lot of other big specials. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or call toll-free 888-253-3139. You can find out more about Jordan Maxwell's books and materials and the info he does as well on his website, JordanMaxwellShow.com. We'll also tweet that out. But here's the deal. If they can hack us and attack us and then hurt us, they're winning. So I want to thank you all for your support in the past. These are great products you need. But if you want to make a straight-up donation, and I don't do this really ever. We don't do money bombs anymore. We just do big sale fundraisers. P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas 78760. If you want to just call, the toll-free line and make a donation at 888-253-3139, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's how I'm budgeting into the new year, who I'm going to hire, what I'm going to do. I mean, I'm already holding off hiring some people right now. We're looking at the new year, budgeting that, but we need the financial support. You're the reason we have Infowars. And, of course, it's the Communist Chinese working with the globalists doing this. They're here openly bullying us. Lots of tidbits here in these last two segments that are only a few minutes long, about 3 here, 5 minutes the next. Jordan, other little tidbits. What do you make of the global power structure? How are things going for the New World Order?
Well, so far, as long as the people are kept ignorant and ill-informed and can't read and can't think, and universities and schools teach you what to think, but they don't teach you how to think. So unless and until you realize that you need to stand up on your own and start looking at the facts of life, instead of sitting back and watching television and listening to people. It's like Albert Einstein I feel like it's like Albert Einstein being taught mathematics by somebody from a mental institution. When you're sitting, you're sitting and watching television, people who are crooked, they are racist, they are mentally deranged in what they're saying, but they're trying to explain to you what's going on. And so
exactly. All they do is push race. Like history isn't cool things that happened or bad things that happened or developments of humanity together and how all humans do the same stuff, good, bad, and ugly. It's all, this was racist, this was not mean, this was good, to make you turn into a victim.
Yeah, I've said before, if you were a normal, everyday, average, intelligent person, and you take a vacation and you go to a city where there's a huge mental asylum, and for the first time you thought you would go visit this mental hospital just to see how things work, and you're walking through, well, everybody in the place is there because they're mentally deranged and they're mentally crippled, whatever, and so but they are arguing with each other. They're ranting and raving, arguing with each other, but they're used to each other. They're used to doing that. So it's fine with them. But when you come in, they don't like you at all because you don't talk like them, you don't look like them, and nobody knows who you are. So they are really angry
That's
with
right.
you.
Political correctness is right out of the Soviet Union, the exact same term.
Totally.
And it creates basket case lunatics with chips on their shoulders running around bullying everyone.
You're right. That's what I'm saying, and so that's why I want to get this plug in real quick. My research, my
Stay
website.
there. We're going back in 70 seconds, Jordan. We're going right to you, Jordan Maxwell. And listen, come back on next week. I want to get you on a lot. I mean, I love having you on Skype, and you're a hard guy to get on. So I'm glad you wanted to come on. Stay with us. Under leftist brainwashing, this German Marina Barana music would be called Nazi, or it would be called cultural expropriation. Everything's a thought crime. Every word, every new vocabulary they give you will then be made obsolete within the month or within the year so that they can sit in the place of arbitrating what words can be used, what culture can be adopted. That's why it starts with something simple like, don't call us homosexual. That scientific term like heterosexual hurts us. Call it straight, call it gay. You go, okay, I want to be nice. You're gay. You're happy. You can expropriate words now and, basically without even going to court, just change scientific terms. And then now, don't say you have a mother and father. Some people don't have that. Don't say brown paper bag. That hurts people's feelings. That's racist. No one ever said it was racist, but we say it is, so you can't use that term now. And by the way, don't say this is an Islamic attack. That only encourages more of the attacks. We're going to arrest you if you say this was Islam. We've hired former Stasi to do it. I mean, it's like they think the public has collective amnesia. It's our job to expose the fact that this is a cult, multi-cult. Culturalism is about bringing in all these other people who are just people. They act just like people, act like white people, act like black people. Humans act the same. And then they program the minorities to be race-based. It's incredible. Absolutely amazing. Now, we're going to, after the break, get some guests on the broadcast. We have quite a few today. Gerald Celente is coming up at the bottom of the hour to give us his breakdown of what we've seen in the year past and what's coming up in the future. We've got Roger Stone popping in. He's decided to rally and come on for about 10 minutes, even though he's got a cold or is under the weather from not sleeping as much as he should, writing this book. He's been working 18 to 20 hours a day in the last few weeks. And then we've got Paul Joseph Watson scheduled to be hosting the 4th hour today from London, England. He's got some guests joining him as well. So you don't want to miss all of the rest of the 3 hours that are laid out before us. Now, I need to take a breath here and just sit back and think about what we've just witnessed. I have really not spent any time so far talking about the fact that we have seen Donald J. Trump come from way behind to get the nomination, despite the fact they tried to steal that outrageously, to becoming president-elect, and then now the last 5 weeks of total hysteria trying to stop that and trying to have recounts that only got him more votes and trying to then launch wars and other diversions and trying to say there's a terror attack, it's his fault, and then saying that, again, the electors shouldn't go for him. Despite all that, he got, what, 303 electors of the 270 needed, and they had a bunch of electors actually go against Hillary. More electors went against Hillary, even though no one promoted that, than went against Trump. So it actually backfired in another incredibly repudiating reversal and just showing people don't want her. And I'm glad it was Bernie Sanders people that realized they stole the nomination from him that said, you know what? We're going to be faithless for you because you were faithless and stole this. She lost 4 in Washington state alone. So that's all coming up on the other side of this quick break. We've got video and audio of them getting hysterical and crying and screaming when their goddess, the arrogant, stumbling tyrant, failed. Now, everybody knows that I'm obsessed with how the global social engineers are able to set the parameters and label things. They call themselves progressives. They call themselves liberals. Then when they're in opposition to what libertarians and patriots want, they say, oh, you're right-wing extremist. And then they couple everybody else onto the horrible agenda being carried out by the fake establishment, blue blood, robber baron Republicans. But then in real policy, the Democrats and Republicans carry out the globalism, carry out the modern imperialism, carry out the modern oppression, and then respectively point fingers at each other and say everybody does it. Well, Carol Quigley wrote Tragedy and Hope in the 60s for the CIA because their own section chiefs couldn't understand why they were funding communist, socialist, and fascist, as well as just run-of-the-mill dictators instead of promoting liberty. They were changing over from the Eisenhower policy of trying to put good governments in, which is bad enough because you see where it goes, to putting bad governments in. And Quigley, in the book, which we sell, by the way, in hardcover, it's back in print, 1,100 pages, wasn't meant for the general public. There were lawsuits over it, but because the government paid for it, it went into open domain. When first only a few copies were out there that got leaked, they tried to deny it was real in the early 70s, folks. There was a whole controversy over this book. 1,100 pages. You read it, it's a blueprint, a owner's manual, an operator's manual on how to run full spectrum political dominance. But at the end, it's all command and control. And it's anti-free market and wants monopolies, oligopolies. Brzezinski's written books that are public admitting it all as well. But those are public. And so that's why they're bringing in Islam, because it's not compatible. And so the leftists who hate the states and who hate the Electoral College and who, all this other garbage suddenly love it and love the states and said be faithless electors. Well, Hillary Clinton lost more electors than Trump did. In fact, I did the math yesterday. The issue was, even in states where people are allowed to be faithless, they just ignored them, arrested them, drug them out, you name it. Imagine if Trump people did that. Turns out, I counted these up last night, Hillary lost more than 30 electors. Trump just lost a few. Incredible. So Hillary lost 4 in Washington. The reason that's so important, that's where the 4 stuck. They went to Bernie Sanders. In other places, they just ignored it, and it was not even in the news, or it was mentioned, well, this group of 7, or this group of 4, or this group of 10, or this group of 2 tried to vote against, but weren't allowed. The police took them out. So I sat there before I shot a live video on Facebook last night, and I tally them up. So, and there's also mainstream news articles that also admitted it. They're like, yeah, Hillary was rebuffed, or Hillary lost more than Trump. So imagine, they're advertising. They're writing thousands of letters to each elector who's Republican. They have Hollywood stars saying, do this, do this, do this, do this. And they get rebuked because Hillary. Joe Biden had to go out on the trail and say, I know you don't like Hillary. I know you like Sanders. But man, Donald Trump's evil. And record numbers of Reagan Democrats, black and white and Hispanic, those type of folks went and they voted for Trump, the same people that voted for Obama, hoping for change. And if Trump doesn't deliver or die trying, he'll be more hated than Obama. Because people weren't sure but gave Obama a chance. I didn't like McCain myself, so I was like, I'm pretty much neutral. Except McCain claims he's less anti-gun, so I got to go McCain. But I didn't vote for him. I just said, we're going to see what happens. And boy, Obama was worse than I thought. I hated the Republicans so much that one of the few times I was wrong in my life, I didn't support McCain. And of course, he was meant to lose. So it was like a Don King boxing match, they say, reportedly, allegedly, sometimes, both boxers kind of know what's going on. Who knows? The point is, in that case, we knew the fix was in. So I said, hey, the fix is in. It doesn't matter. He's the new Messiah. We'll see what happens. But boy, the racial division, all of it. So you've got these whining babies in Wisconsin wailing and freaking out. Here it is.
Thank you, tellers, for tallying the votes. The votes are 10 votes, Donald J. Trump.
You sold out our country!
This is not America. America's been stolen. Don't do this. This is begging for Hillary. This is begging for Hillary, who launches all these wars, steals the donation money from the Haitians. He's involved in all this corruption.
I don't think it's going to break down.
And they're saying, shame, shame, shame. Shame on
the
you.
votes for vice president.
And then they go on and choose the electors also for Mr. Pence. Now, Vice President Pence. Elect, but about to be president in 30 days. You think these desperate people are going to stop? Now, notice they blamed the racist and they blamed the homophobes. Now you're Russian agents if you support Trump. You want World War III, even though most analysts and historians on the left and right say, no, Hillary would push us towards World War III. Trump's a businessman. He wants a win-win. He doesn't want austerity. He doesn't want eugenics. He doesn't want World War III. That's what the whole Davos system is. They're ultra-rich, you're poor. They end competition. They sew up the whole world. They're diplomatically immune, above the law, tax exempt. Globalism is the new royalty, and you only operate through license, through licensure to them and an administrative law. That's what the world government is. Read the white papers. And because I have read their white papers, I've been contacted. And I've been offered jobs with them. How's 3 million sound? How's 10 million sound? And I even had Rothkopf, head of the Kissinger Group at the time, come on the show. He knew who I was. And John Herman heard during the breaks. He also said on air, Alex, come to New York, meet with us. You're the leader of your group. You're going to be the leader of the opposition. Just work with us. It's a good plan. World government's good. Alex, come on. He said, I just had to get out of here. You know, you're just not sensible. They just have this confidence of we're the good guys. We run things. We're taking over. He said it on air. He said it off air. Yeah, there's a world government. Join it, Alex. And I've had people bigger than Rothkopf, and I wear a journalistic hat, so I'm in a meeting with somebody. You know, it's off record unless they talk about criminal stuff. And they just say, Alex, the public's a bunch of dumb scum. They don't want your help. They're going to adapt to be slaves, not the other way around. They're going to tear you apart. You just need to join us. And I say, why are you saying I should join you? Well, you get it. You read our documents. You care. You understand the plan. You should join us. And I'm not bragging. You can see their forethought that they were trying to hire me. And I'm sure they hire a lot of folks that they see as up-and-comers. 19 years ago, the offers started. Small networks, big networks, the biggest networks, then other deals, TV deals, movie deals. And they look at me and they go, you don't want $10 million, book deals, the best-looking women, and movie deals. Guaranteed movie deals. You're going to be a movie star. You got the talent. You got it all. No, I don't want it. Alex, $10 million is more than I make. Now, I got a bunch of stock. This is the kind of conversations with presidents of things. You don't want $10 million. No, I don't want $10 million. But see, the general public hasn't experienced these things. They don't know, but they're now learning via the WikiLeaks. Now, let me continue. Let's go to this next one. Liberal losers, who, again, aren't liberals, cry and complain. We just played that. Clinton support racism, Russia, why we lost, CNN. So it's this compilation of Russia, racist, homophobes, everything but them, everything but Hillary being a crook, everything but we're sick of the Clinton name, everything but we want change. That's why the same white Midwest elected Obama, who you now call racist. It's made up crap. And then we come back, I'm going to tell you about the real discussions going on in white America. I'm going to let you in on the real secret of what's going on in white America. You're going to hear it on the other side. But first, let's go out to the break with this clip.
As the weeks went by, that deep sense of sadness and loss gave way to a tremendous, tremendous anger as we realize from all the news that's coming out that this election was stolen from the American people by Russia.
What evidence do you have that Russia stole the election?
There was information from the CIA saying that Russia was meddling in the election.
Which they want to give Congress.
What evidence do you have that it swayed the outcome?
The hacking that the Russian government did of the DNC emails provided...
They use the term hack to mean political hack, influence in the media. Okay, this has all been disproven. The head of all intelligence has come out and said it's all bull. But the Chinese and the Saudi Arabians were openly involved, bragging about it. And look how helpless these women look. You think folks like this built this country? That they've created these soft bureaucrat types that are in la-la land. Here they are.
That the Russian government did of the DNC emails provided an endless supply of negative commentary in the news about Hillary.
How many people think that Russia swayed the outcome of this race? Had it not been for Russia, Hillary Clinton would have won.
You know what? Hit
You agree
pause.
with that?
We're going to come back and play the rest. Folks, this is so asinine. The entire mainstream media admitted they had no qualms about lying about Trump, totally negative, deception, coordinating with the White House, coordinating with everybody. And then they changed the subject off the WikiLeaks to claiming Russia did it with no evidence. I mean, it is just ridiculous. You didn't vote against Hillary. No, the Russians mind-controlled you. How do you think they're going to try to disrupt it now? They failed in stealing the nomination. They failed trying to steal the general election. They failed with their fake recounts that gave more votes to Trump. They failed with the unseating of the electors. Some say there could still be some manipulation up until the 6th or so when they're announced, but there could be something happening in Congress, but I don't really see that happening now. I told you they were going to try, though, but now I feel better about the process, like we've gotten out of the woods, but I feel like something's over the hill. What do you think? In fact, I'm going to open the phones up to take calls on this subject when Salente joins us, just to pop in with your quick comment. 800-25-99231, 800-25-99231. Now, I got cut off getting into the butthurtness of the liberals in a focus group on CNN. A lot of these focus groups have turned out to be fake with Democratic operatives, but it's all these women that are just shocked the Russians took over. It's all been discredited. It's all bull. But it changes the subject from the WikiLeaks. It's so ridiculous. Talk about a conspiracy theory. It was U.S. intelligence leaked the information. It was U.S. intelligence linked up with the Russians and gave intel on helping kill ISIS. Our military told Obama 3+ years ago, it stops now. And I told you that was historical. There's already been a soft coup against the globalist. The globalists took over the country through fraud. There was a soft coup because the internet news, not just us, was able to get the information to the troops. Pat Riley was on a plane yesterday back from taking some time off with his wife in Sedona, Arizona. And as they landed, the news was coming out that there'd been this latest truck attack in Berlin, killing a bunch of people. It's now 12 people, more in critical condition, 60+ injured. And he said he started watching people sitting beside him in front of him. Clearly a military guy went to Infowars. It wasn't updated yet, 30 minutes after. And then he watched the guy go to Drudge. And then he's walking down the hall. He watches somebody go to Fox. It's not there. He watches him go to Infowars. And he watches him go to Drudge. I mean, there it is right there. Of course, Drudge had it within 2 minutes. I was sitting there shooting a video at home. And already on the Nice situation and part 2, what happened in Berlin. And then the news came in that he got in the 270. Sure enough, I went to Drudge, and Drudge had it. And I called up the great crew. That's why we need a few more staff. And said, hey, post this article. It's kind of that in-between time at like 5 o'clock or so is when people are going off to shift. And there's not really anybody at night who's on unless this crew just decides to work 18 hours a day. I need 4 or 5 more writers, more posters, more analysts. I need more camera people. I need it now. That's why we have free shipping store-wide to try to get enough volume to pay the bills around here. People respond to discounts. The products are already discounted generally, but we lower the prices, like 33% off on Brain Force, 20% more now in each bottle. That's basically a lost leader. 50% off on colloidal silver, $9.95 right now, and free shipping. Sign up for auto ship, an additional 10% off. We're extending it throughout the week to try to make back the capital we were budgeting on, to be able to hire the new crew in the new year and be able to expand. And listeners have made up most of the shortfall from the hackers blocking out Infowars.com and InfowarsStore.com. Again, the sites weren't hacked in the traditional sense of gotten into. They were just blocked with massive denial of service attacks, DDoS attacks, robot attacks. And so now they're back up for now. Thank you for your support. If you were unable to order or there's more products you want to get or you want to support the First Amendment, InfowarsStore.com, InfowarsLife.com, or always you can call toll free 24/7, 888-253-3139. Let's go out to break, though, with the rest of the CNN disinformation network with these poor Democrat voters.
The hacking that the Russian government did of the DNC emails provided an endless supply of negative commentary in the news about Hillary.
How many people think that Russia swayed the outcome of this race? Had it not been for Russia, Hillary Clinton would have won. You agree with that?
I don't know.
Well,
We don't know yet.
but for
We have
months
to-
and months and months, all of the American voters were swayed by what they heard and saw on the news.
The other thing I thought was a big factor is the fake news on Facebook.
Why? What fake news story cost her the election?
I would say the fake news and the Russia stuff are very connected because a lot of the fake news came out of people's interpretation of the leaks. A lot of
Totally
late
staged.
deciding voters broke for Trump, and the Comey email, it sort of seemed to line up in terms of timing with the Comey email.
What I don't hear you saying is putting any responsibility on her campaign. What percentage?
The empire's on the run.
We'll be back. Gotta just settle down because this type of news drives me crazy. To witness Nice this summer, to witness Berlin as an 18-wheeler runs over men, women, and children, and to watch the media be apologists and to cover up for Orthodox Islam, and to know they knew bringing